Have you ever wondered why the stock market sometimes behaves in a way that feels completely unpredictable? A company can announce record profits, beat every expectation, and deliver amazing results. Yet investors still send the stock price lower. Then another company can announce that it is spending hundreds of billions of dollars, increasing costs, and taking huge risks. And investors celebrate. Why does that happen? The answer became very clear during one of the most important earnings weeks of the year. In just 48 hours, 4 of the biggest companies on Earth, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Apple, revealed their latest financial results. These are not ordinary businesses. They are some of the most powerful companies in human history. And together, they are spending massive amounts of money to build the future of artificial intelligence. But investors had one major question. Is all this spending actually creating value? Or are these companies simply pouring money into AI and hoping the profits arrive someday? The market answered that question. And the answer was fascinating because each company received a completely different reaction. Let's start with Microsoft. If there was one company that looked like a clear winner this earnings season, it was Microsoft. The company delivered extremely strong results, reporting quarterly revenue of more than $90 billion. Its earnings also came in much higher than Wall Street expected. But the biggest story was not just revenue. It was not just profit. It was Azure. Microsoft's cloud computing business reached a major milestone by crossing $100 billion in annual revenue for the first time. Think about how incredible that is. One part of Microsoft's business alone is now generating more money than many entire companies. And the most important part is that Azure is still growing. This was exactly what investors wanted to see. For years, Microsoft has been spending enormous amounts of money building AI infrastructure, expanding data centers, and securing access to powerful computer chips. Many investors were asking a simple question. Will these huge investments actually pay off? This earnings report provided a strong answer. The growth was already appearing. Microsoft was not simply asking investors to believe in a future dream. It was showing real business results today. Still, the overall message was clear. Microsoft showed that its AI investments are already becoming a real source of growth. Now let's look at Meta. At first glance, Meta's earnings looked excellent. Revenue increased by 28%. Advertising remained strong. Businesses continued spending money on Facebook and Instagram. Users were still engaging with the company's platforms. Financially, the core social media business looked very healthy. So naturally, many people expected the stock to rise. But instead, the stock fell. Why? Because investors were not only looking at today's success, they were looking at tomorrow's costs. Meta announced that it was increasing its spending plans again. The company expects to spend between $130 and $145 billion building AI infrastructure. That is an enormous investment. And unlike Microsoft, Meta has not yet shown a massive AI business generating huge new revenue. Investors are being asked to wait. They are being asked to trust that these investments will eventually create something valuable. But Wall Street has become much less patient. Promises are no longer enough. Investors want proof. Another concern was Meta's Reality Labs division, the part of the company focused on virtual reality and the metaverse. The division continued losing billions of dollars while generating relatively small revenue. This has become a recurring question. When will this business finally make money? And every quarter, the answer seems to remain the same. Not yet. That uncertainty hurt investor confidence. Meta's earnings were good, but investors wanted something more. They wanted evidence that billions of dollars in spending were turning into billions of dollars in returns. Then came Amazon. Amazon's earnings report created another interesting situation. the company achieved a huge milestone by crossing $200 billion in quarterly revenue for the first time. But once again, the biggest excitement came from artificial intelligence. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, grew 37%. That was its fastest growth in roughly 5 years. Why does this matter? Because AWS is becoming one of the biggest winners of the AI revolution. Companies building AI applications need massive amounts of computing power. They need servers. They need cloud infrastructure. And many of them are turning to Amazon. Every new AI startup, every new AI software company, and every new AI service could potentially become an AWS customer. Amazon also announced that it plans to increase capital spending to around $220 billion. Normally, investors do not like hearing that a company is increasing expenses. But this time, they reacted positively. Why? Because Amazon showed where the money was going. Apple also reported earnings during this period, but its story was different. Unlike Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta, Apple was not mainly focused on explaining massive AI infrastructure spending. Instead, Apple continued relying on its traditional strengths. The company reported record quarterly revenue of more than $109 billion, with strong performance from iPhones, Macs, and services. Apple's advantage is simple. Millions of people already use its products every day. It continues generating enormous profits from an established ecosystem. But these earnings were about more than just 4 companies. They showed how AI is changing the entire economy. The effects are spreading beyond software. Companies building cloud infrastructure are benefiting. Hardware suppliers are gaining attention. Chip manufacturers are becoming more important. Memory companies are seeing increased demand. Even electricity usage, construction, and data center development are being transformed by AI. In other words, short-term uncertainty, long-term confidence. So what should investors watch next? First, Meta. Can the company finally prove that its AI investments are creating strong returns? Or will investors continue waiting? Second, Microsoft and Amazon. Can Azure and AWS maintain this incredible growth? Or will demand eventually slow? Third, investors will continue watching free cash flow. Revenue matters, profit matters, but cash is what keeps businesses healthy. And finally, everyone will be watching NVIDIA. Almost every major AI company depends heavily on NVIDIA's powerful chips. Its future earnings could provide another major signal about whether this AI boom is still accelerating. So what did this earnings week really teach us? It taught us that spending billions of dollars is not enough. A company must prove that those billions can create even bigger returns. The market is not impressed by big numbers alone. It wants results. Now the question is, if you had to invest in just one AI giant today, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, or Apple, which one would you choose and why? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the biggest business stories shaping the future, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.